table view working. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new class. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this shopping list app file. I'm going to do a two-finger click or right click and just say new file. I want to add a new file to this shopping list app. It's going to be a Swift file. Make sure you select Swift file and you can say next. Instead of calling it file, I'm going to call it item. And I'm going to say create. And I'm going to move it up with these other Swift files up here. So we have a new file called item. And I'm going to create a class. The name of the class is going to be called item. And we are going to give it a property. So I'm going to say var name is going to be a string. Now when we refer to this class, we do need to initialize it. So you can see it's given us a warning, class item has no initializer, so we're going to initialize it. We're going to give it some parameters, and that's going to be name, and it's going to be of type string. So when we call this class, we need to pass in a string parameter that's going to be the name. So our parameter, or excuse me, our item name is going to be equal to the name we pass in. So whatever name you pass in, that'll be equal to the name of this item. Next up, we're going to go into our viewController.swift file again. We're going to go up to the top somewhere above view.load, and we're going to create another variable. This variable is going to be called items. So items with an S on the end. The reason why I'm putting an S on the end is it's going to be an array of type item that we just created. Just an array meaning just a list. So we can have a list of the class item that we created. And I'm going to set it to be equal to these two square brackets, meaning it's just going to be a blank array. So let's put some information into this array. Into this array. So I'm going to say let create item 1, and I'm going to set it to be equal to our class item, and we're going to initialize it with that name, which is of type string, and I'm going to call this soy milk. I'm going to create another item. That's also going to be of class item, and we need to initialize it, so the name is going to be cereal. Next up, I'm going to set our array of items to be equal to item 1, comma, item 2. So I'm adding those two constants, item 1 and item 2, to our array. Instead of returning just this int 3, I'm going to return the amount of items in the array. So I'm going to say the name of our array, which is items with an S, and I'm going to say .count. So this is just a built-in method to the array. It's going to count the items in the list, and that's how many rows we're going to have. Next up, we're going to create a constant down here in our cell for row at. So after we create our cell, I'm going to create something called current item. And it's going to be equal to our items array. index path dot row, and then our cell dot text label dot text is going to equal to current item dot name, and then we are going to return that cell. Oh, let me fix my spelling. Oh, excuse me, I spelled this should be current item. So right on line 37, we create current item, and now we're going to make our cell text label dot text be equal to current item dot name. All right, and we have our array appearing inside of our table view, just like we want it.